So now I'm going to ask the youth delegate from the Netherlands to comment on observations since the adoption of the SDGs. You've participated in many international events, and so what's your current take on the status of national implementations, and what are some of the recommendations that you have for member states?
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. Before I respond to the question, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak here, to share my views with the ministers and other attendees here in the room. And I firstly want to look at the first part of your question, because last year, as you mentioned, I spoke in many international conferences around the efforts we're taking with financing in youth development. So, for example, UNCTAD 14 and a second high-level meeting of the Global Partnership for Effective Development Cooperation in Nairobi. And these platforms were very important because they enhanced multi-stakeholders to discuss the financing for youth development. And these conferences were very important because international cooperation was their main theme. I mean, countries working together to really achieve the same goal. And I'm really happy that the Dutch government is really an example of including these young people in their view. Because do you know that 75 million people are unemployed? Young people are unemployed worldwide, and that the African youth has a high rate of 50% on their whole continent. And the Dutch government financed an initiative by the former Dutch youth representative, who was my former colleague, to ride a bus through 8 different countries, the 8 African countries, and to combat youth unemployment. They held multi-stakeholder events with 8 different countries to promote concrete action, which was presented to CEOs, policymakers, and the private sector. And these solutions really to increase the youth employment rate. And as this example portrays very vividly, young people are not a problem and they're part of the solution. And these youth initiatives are needed to make a change in finance for youth development. And we must capitalize on the youth initiatives that are already there and make young people not just the recipient, but also a partner in the financing of youth development. Therefore, my first recommendation would be that governments invest in the innovative ideas their young people have in their own countries. We can finance youth development in a smarter and more efficient way. We can engage them in this process. And besides these actions, the 2030 Agenda and the Addis Ababa Action Agenda also identified youth as a critical component of means of implementation and financing. However, the respective follow-up and the review processes have yet to provide evidence of this being a serious issue for member states. Neither the Financing for Development follow-up forum nor the HLPF has seen any member state present on this. And I would like to stress the goal to member states to have youth-sensitive and youth-friendly micro and macro economic frameworks. Also, I would like to request upon member states to include their young citizens in these frameworks. Give youth the opportunity to take part in policy making. Only then we can make the world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you. Now,